Caitlin, Rachel. So this will be, as you probably know, our very last opportunity to talk to these voters. So if you can, knock every door that's on the list. And you don't have to know, hard selling, no uncomfortable conversations. Just, hey, want to make sure you know that today's election day, and want to help you make a plan to vote if you need help finding your polling place, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, just conversations today. Enjoy the great weather. It's a reason to be out after we've been cooped up in our houses for the last 8 months. And you're going to feel so good on election night. You're going to know that you helped to produce the turnout that we will see. So please keep it up. Tono, we have Caitlin and Rachel, right? Caitlin and Rachel, who are knocking doors. They're saving democracy. We have to think, okay?
I love that.
Remember that.
I will remember.
Okay.
Thank you all for knocking on doors.
Yeah, we owe you all so much.
Amazing.
Thank you. Absolutely, yeah.
You want me to grab it?
Caitlin, do you want to take it from where you are and you can get all 3 of us? There we go. Yeah. You all be well. Okay, bye-bye. So we're here in Tarrant County, and folks have just picked up their walk packets and their safety gear and their PPE, and now they're about to go knock on doors, and they're going to go meet the voters who are going to decide the outcomes of these elections.
I heard Texas was close.
Really? Holy shit. Connor, it's Walker.
What? There he is.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, I heard Texas was close, and we needed to kind of
Amazing.
get it over the line.
A lot of people, we drove an hour to get here from Plano. Others may have driven, 90 minutes. Walker flew across the country from the East Coast all the way to Dallas-Fort Worth, and is here knocking doors to make sure that not only does he help great Democratic State House candidates win, and so we win a majority, not only to help Texas come through on election night for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and MJ Hagar and Krista Castañeda and all of our statewide candidates, but to make sure that this democracy works. I mean, you think about the folks who traveled the country in the major voting rights era of generations past. They were doing it for democracy. Walker's doing this for democracy. This is how important Texas is right now.
Wow.
That Walker's here, even though he's not from here.
I love that.
We have to save the world. We can't save the world without saving the United States. And we can't save the United States without saving Texas. Thank you both for everything you're doing to save Texas.
Likewise, man. Oh, it's so good to see this guy.
Thank you for believing in Texas so much. That's awesome. Amazing.
Well, it's where it's going to happen.
Wow.
So we'll let you knock your doors, but I want to call and check in later and see how long you're in town for, and maybe there's a safe distanced way to say hello later.
Let's do it.
Okay. Adios.
All right.
Thank you, Walker.
Bye-bye, Walker.
All right. See you.
Have a good knocking on the doors.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
A good human being right there who made that trip. Walker has been on almost every one of our phone banks. When we were campaigning for Senate, came down to Texas to knock on doors, supported us all through last year. And then this year, there's been no one more dedicated that he's flown down here to come help the effort.
It's a cool shirt, Beto.
Oh, you like this shirt?
I like that shirt. It looks good on you. Look at that.
We are giving these shirts away to folks who volunteer. Now, not everyone who volunteers will get a shirt, but the only way to get a shirt is to volunteer. So we basically pick randomly from the pool of volunteers who've knocked on doors, made phone calls, or texted with Powered by People for great candidates. We will randomly draw and send shirts out.
Wow. And
wow,
that's a good shirt, Beto. We've had quite a few volunteers drive through. We have a drive-through pickup.
We've got a drive-through pickup. You've got Joe Drago and Elizabeth Beck, 2 of our candidites.
Should I go say hi to them?
Tono, you need to do whatever you need to do.
Okay, Beto. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to say hi to them real quick.
Why don't you ask them to introduce themselves? They're the 2 candidates that we're knocking on doors for today.
Okay, do that. Good morning. I have Facebook Live and just wanted a chance to see if y'all could introduce yourselves. to the folks we have watching.
I'm Elizabeth Beck, and I'm running for House District 97, and I really appreciate everyone for coming out today and making sure that we flip the Texas House so that we have people that are fighting for public education and expansion of healthcare access and good paying safe jobs for Texans. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Joe Drago. I'm running for Texas House District 96. We're also excited to see the turnout here today and so many people excited to help, especially the youth of our state and our country, because they're our next leaders. And I firmly believe that it's our job to protect the backs of our constituents and not worry about protecting our own backs. And that's what we're going to do when we get to office on so many issues, as Elizabeth said, whether it's healthcare, public education, criminal justice reform, and so many others. We're just glad to be out here today. We're ready for the last 3 days, and we're going to bring it home for Tarrant County.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you.
You are going to turn Texas blue. Everyone in this truck is going to turn Texas blue. Everyone who's come out to knock on doors is going to turn Texas blue. These amazing candidates like Elizabeth Beck and Joe Drago are going to turn Texas blue. The Texas voter who's turning out in record numbers is going to turn Texas blue. Yes, we're going to turn Texas blue.
All right.
Work, guys. He turned us purple. Historic. This guy is historic. Biden and Kamala are going to win because of that.
Let's do it.
Thank you, buddy.
Adios. Be well. Stay safe out there.
So I was just telling Beto how many of our food bank volunteers came through. And I was also telling him about 3 or 4 weeks after we stopped doing it, the food bank reached back out to me and they're like, we can't staff everything, is there anything we can do? And so I got an emergency email out to our food bank volunteers saying, we're obviously not done, I'm not here every week, but how many can sign up? We are consistently staffing their 2 biggest food giveaways and have been ever since June.
I love it.
So our food bank, our Beto volunteers are the best.
You are our hero, and many people who are watching this may not know that when before the CARES Act and when a lot of Texas families were having a hard time getting the calories they needed, the food that would sustain them, so many of these volunteers who are now knocking on doors were actually staffing volunteer shifts at food banks across Texas. And Brenda Jurgens in Fort Worth and in North Texas helped to organize and got literally every shift filled, and then got it filled, long past the period where we thought we were going to be needed. And also we brought her in as kind of a freelancer to help us figure out how to staff up with volunteers, food banks in other parts of Texas. So the tens of thousands of shifts that we have filled across the state of Texas, powered by people volunteers, so much of that is due to Brenda, other organizers and managers and leaders. And so we want to thank everyone who did that work, and then everyone who's doing this work right now of making sure that we reach voters to save our democracy. It's all on the line right now.
So we had an inadvertent benefit. The technology for food banks is so bad. And El Paso, I swear, it was pitiful. Like, they just count on people coming in and they could muscle through it with people. But we have improved the technology of most of the food banks. They now can easily sign up their volunteers. Their sponsor organizations can track them, because when we came in to help, we were just like, this is not going to work. And we worked with the food banks and got the technology changed in a lot of the big county food banks. So
Awesome.
double benefit, long-term benefit.
Good job.
I love it.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, Beto.
Should we do this
Yes.
entrevista?
Yes. Listo.
Listo. ¿Y vas a grabar o
Sí,
vas a
sí
hacer
está
algo?
bien. ¿Está bien?
¿Qué quieres? Sí, sí, está.
Sí, pues vamos a hacerlo.
And I can take this off?
Yes. Yes.
Got you.
Got a couple of reporters here.
Hey there. Good to see y'all.
Well, thanks for your time, too.
Thank you. Yeah.
What brings you out here today?
I'm here to knock on doors, to meet those Texas voters who have yet to cast their ballot in early voting, but who still have a chance to do it on election day. So we are simply knocking on the door, taking 10 steps back to make sure that we keep a safe distance, wearing a mask, and then ensuring that Texas voters know that this is their last chance to cast a ballot in the most important election in the biggest swing state in the country. we have a chance to elect great state representatives like Joe Drago, like Elizabeth Beck, who could form a Democratic majority for the first time in 20 years. And then Texas, with 38 electoral college votes, could put Joe Biden over the top on election night. And that would end this country's national nightmare. And no state has the power to do it. No voter has the power to do it like our state and like the voter here in North Texas.
And why Tarrant County? I mean, why Fort Worth? Why this area?
They say, as goes Tarrant County, so goes the state of Texas. Tarrant County last voted for a Democrat in 1994 before we won it in 2018. 2018, watershed year. We picked up 12 state house seats, 2 new members of Congress, including Colin Allred here in North Texas. And I think we showed this state and the rest of the country that we're not so much a red state as we were a non-voting state. Now that Texas is voting, not only can we win the state, but we can importantly win Tarrant County. There are so many important state house races that are going to be decided in Tarrant County. The Tarrant County voter is among the most important voters in the United States of America. So we're here to meet that voter at their door, remind them that Tuesday is election day, and to ask them to please make a plan to vote.
And what do you think all the early voting numbers, all the numbers are breaking records here in Texas? What do you think all that means?
I'm so proud of Texas right now. I mean, Texas, we're standing up for ourselves. We're standing up for access to health care. We're standing up for great public schools. We're standing up for investment in our communities and reducing the property tax burden on the local taxpayer. We're standing up for great candidates who are going to be accountable to all of us. I've never seen anything like this in my 48 years as a Texan. And this state is standing up to be counted, literally, at this defining moment of truth for our country. So, Texas, keep it up.
And you've been getting around pretty good. What's your schedule been like?
So 2 days ago, I was in Plano, Texas, and then day before yesterday, we drove down to the Rio Grande Valley, had a chance to knock on doors in McAllen and Mission and Palm View, Texas. We were there to welcome Senator Kamala Harris, the next Vice President of the United States. And then last night, we drove right back up to North Texas. We were on the road for about 8 hours, got a couple hours of sleep, and then are now under this beautiful sky, welcoming these great volunteers who are going to go out and knock on doors and make sure that we continue this record turnout.
Thank you.
How are you talking to voters about this election, and how's that changed from previous state and federal elections?
You know, one big difference is that this is really the exception, that we're knocking on doors and that we're there in person. Most of the contact with voters has been by phone, has been by text. We've made more than 60 million voter contact attempts so far this year, and now we're making these voter contact attempts at people's doors. But whatever way we do it, I believe that human-to-human connection, which, you know, maybe you saw the TV ad, maybe you didn't. Maybe you read the mailer, maybe you threw it away. Maybe you read the thing on Facebook, or maybe you don't have Facebook. You'll never forget someone knocking on your door or making a phone call to you. You might not always want it. You may be eating dinner, you may be busy, you may not want to talk, but that volunteer and that connection will be with you, and it's going to influence the likelihood of your voting and for whom you vote. So what these volunteers are doing and what these candidates are doing all across the state of Texas is so inspiring and so necessary. And if you wonder how it is that Texas went from 50th in voter turnout in the country 3 years ago to first in the nation in votes cast, first in the nation in votes cast over 2016, and first in the nation in young votes cast, it's these volunteers and candidates and voters who are getting after it. So we're all doing our part right now, and we need to see it through all the way to 7:01 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is when polls close in El Paso, Texas, my hometown. And then we're going to know whether Texas came through for the country. And I have a good feeling that we will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate y'all being here.
All right, I'm going to sign off, Beto, and we have 3 more canvas stops today.
We have 3 more canvas stops.
3 more, Beto.
Okay.
So we'll check in with everybody?
We're going to check in with everybody. We'll be back on the live stream in a little bit. But listen, you may not be able to be with us in person today knocking on doors. That's okay. You can join us on a phone bank tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday, or you can join phone banks all 3 of those days to make sure that you leave no voter left behind, no voter taken for granted, and every single eligible voter contacted, spoken to, listened to, so that they turn out and we win this state on election night. I can't think of anything more important. So thanks to everyone who's already signed up and made calls. Thanks to everyone who's about to do it right now. We will see you in a little bit. Stay safe and be well.
Awesome. Thanks.